The Bell Witch haunting stands out as one of America's most notorious ghost stories. Back in the early 19th century, the Bell family in Tennessee found themselves at the center of some truly bizarre and terrifying happenings. This unholy union of supernatural forces and human tragedy offers a chilling glimpse into how a family's life got upended by something or someone they couldn't see. Hey there, story lovers. Welcome to the Storytelling Podcast, your cozy corner for captivating tales. I am your host, Alejandra, and today we are having a spooky story by the fire because we are diving into the infamous Bell Witch haunting in good old Tennessee and the family tragedy. This is going to be a spooky story, and I will make sure it will be fun or not. But before we start, I would like to ask you for your support and click on the follow or the subscribe button if you're hearing this episode on YouTube or any podcast platform. I would really appreciate that, and thank you for the lovely reviews you have been leaving on the podcast. It means the world to me. So let's get starting. People talk about strange noises, ghostly figures, and even physical attacks on the bells. The haunting quickly became a sensation, grabbing the attention of the whole community and even folks like Andrew Jackson. The Bell Witch legend blurs the line between folklore and what actually wrote down, so if you're into the eerie or just love a good mystery, it's hard to not get sucked in. The Bell Witch legend digs deep into Tennessee's early 18th past. Everything centers on the Bell family who lived in Robertson County and started to experience some serious strange stuff. These unsettling events basically built the foundation for a legend that still got people talking and even filming nowadays. Back then, Tennessee was a true frontier. Settlers kept moving west, hungry for land and for a fresh start. Life was rural, communities stuck close together, and religion ran deep. Superstition thrived, and people swapped ghost stories all the time. It's no wonder the Bell Witch tale caught on. The Bell's family arrived at Robertson County in 1804. They worked the land as farmers, trying to carve out a life. John Bell led the family, respected by his neighbors, while his wife Lucy and their kids at his side turned the home into a home. But their home soon turned at the epicenter of strange events that had everyone buzzing. Things started to getting weird around 1817. The family heard knocking and scratching, sometimes inside, sometimes outside of the house. Nighttime made it worse. Their livestock act up, and some animals end up hurt or just plain terrified. Neighbors gossiped, and the legend of the Bell Witch started to spread. The bells were right at the heart of the haunting. Each person faced their own set of challenges, and some suffered more than others. John Bell was the one who took the biggest hit. His troubles kicked off in the early 1800s with weird sounds and disturbances in the house. Soon, he started to feel sick. Paralysis, weakness, stuff that just didn't make sense. He used to be a strong farmer, but neighbors saw him change. John often felt targeted by something that he couldn't see. This being seemed to have it out for him, and his health just kept getting worse. In the end, he died in 1820, 3 years after all the disturbances started showing, and he was a shadow of who he was. Betsy is John's daughter, and didn't have it any easier. She got singled out for physical attacks. People said that she got pinched or slapped by something invisible. It took a toll. Betsy grew withdrawal, clearly shaken by what it was happening. On top of that, the haunting interfered with her love life. She liked the local boy, but the spirits seemed to hate the idea. Betsy's relationships fell apart, and she was left miserable. The rest of the family didn't escape either. Lucy Bell, John's wife, mostly felt scared and confused by all the weirdness at home. Anna and Richard, Two of the other kids witnessed their own share of bizarre happenings. They dreaded nighttime, and honestly, who could blame them? Neighbors start poking around and drawn by rumors and their own curiosity. Their presence just made things more complicated for the Bells. The whole thing changed their lives and the lives of everyone nearby, actually. The Bell Witch haunting wasn't just one thing, it was a mix of odd events, some subtle, some downright scary. People in the area claimed their own experiences, which just fueled the story and the legend. This all began in 1870, as I said before, on the Bell Farm. At first, it was just faint noises or that weird feeling like someone is watching you. But things escalated. Items started moving up by themselves, but Betsy, especially, felt targeted, tortured, bothered, and tormented by something that nobody could see. Neighbors and others in the community started noticing too. The eerie events didn't stay in the family for like a secret for too long. Noises played a big role. People heard knocking, tapping, sometimes even voices that sounded like family or neighbors, a mimic. Physical attacks happened too. As described before, Betsy was the one that suffered more, with slapped, pinched, and even having her head yanked, pulled up. A few neighbors said that they got hurt after run ins with the spirit. Stories like this spread fast and stoking fear of curiosity. The neighbors painted a vivid picture of what was going on. Some saw strange lights near the Bell's house at night. Others said they heard the voices calling them or even talking to them. Local leaders and politicians came to see for themselves, and their stories only make things wilder. Furniture moved, weird sounds echoed, the whole thing just kept growing. It was a nightmare, but everyone could see and hear. The legend took root, and people couldn't stop talking about it. But plenty of people wrote down what they saw or heard during the Bell Witch haunting, and testimonies came from family, friends, and even the press. Each one add a layer to the mystery. One of the reasons why we know so much about this case is that because there are several journals, newspaper articles about this, real ones. For example, Richard William Bell, one of Bell's sons that we spoke before, kept a journal. He started jotting things down in 1817 when, with dates actually, when everything started happening. He wrote about the knocks, the voices, the stuff vanishing. In one entry, he talked about waking up to a woman's voice calling his name. He even described being touched by unseen force. This journal gave us a rare and personal glimpse into the chaos and fear that they lived through. Neighbors and visitors had their own stories. Some heard laughter or whispers while they were at the Bell's house. Others swore they saw objects move or felt a cold touch. These accounts often lined up with what the Bell said, which made the whole thing even more convincing. Most people left feeling both scared and fascinated. In the early 1800s, newspaper picked up the story. Articles in papers like the Nashville Whig described the family's troubles and suspicions about witchcraft, of course. Witness statements and spook details filled the columns, and the news spread way beyond Tennessee, bringing in curious visitors. Still today, the press played a big role in making the Bell Witch story a permanent part of the American folklore. The Bell Witch haunting didn't just scare people, it tore the Bell family apart. With John Bell's illness and the relentless weirdness created, this was such pressure at that home and with everyone. But how did it escalate, actually, the paranormal activity? Well, it started simple, the knocking, the scratching around the house, but soon whispers joined in, and the family felt like something was trying to talk to them. The entity called itself by name of Kate Bats, and this is supposedly the witch's name, Kate Bats. It moved things, caused chaos, and tormented the bells. Everyone in the house felt this strain. Things got worse, and the bells could barely function. The neighbors started worrying about their own safety as rumors flew in. As John Bell's health crashed, the haunting ramped up. It was feeding from him. He grew weak, his hands shook, and he struggled to speak. No doctor could figure out what was wrong. The family believed the witch cursed him, maybe to get revenge of an old feud that Kate Batts had. John's condition spiraled and he died suddenly in December of 1820. On the day he died, his family found a weird vial of liquid. They thought it was poison from the witch. His death sent shockwaves through the community. The Bell Witch left a scar in the family's name. After John died, grief and fear hung over on the survivors. The rest of the family was scared that they were going to follow the same steps. And the family dealing with this social stigma by now, as the story sticks around as this is an American legend, and some folks said it was a haunting. It wasn't a haunting, but it was a story of loss. Tourists still visit the old Bell Farm. We have plenty of videos on YouTube about explorers and ghost hunters. And they are hoping to catch a glimpse of something supernatural, as the legend itself refuses to die. And there are a couple of videos that you can see and you can hear the knocks. But it's a video, right? But there are some theories, and as always on the podcast, we're going to talk and go through them. People tossed around all sorts of theories to explain what happened to the bells. Some look supernatural, others psychology, or others simply local gossip. Each angle brings something new to the table. In the realm of supernatural, plenty of folks chalk that the haunting it was by ghosts or spirits. They point out the noises, the apparitions, and attacks as proof that something otherworldly was at work. Some blame Kate Batts, a neighbor who supposedly had it out for John Bell, and the idea that she cursed him stuck in the local folklore. For believers in the supernatural, this theory just feels right. She just cursed the poor John Bell, and that's it. And he dies, and everyone goes back to their things. But as a psychological explanation, others say that it was everything in their heads. Stress, fear, maybe anxiety could have meant that Bells imagined or exaggerated what is happening. Remember the mass hysteria that we spoke before? Maybe. Could be. The family faced tough times, money problems, illnesses, the works. People were scared of their minds can play tricks, and it's not uncommon for the whole groups to share this experience, the mass hysteria. This might explain why so many people swore the haunting was real. Actually, if you see many of the videos, once one starts screaming or starts saying, I heard the knock, the others say, yes, yes, yes. It's that psychological factor. Then we have the social cultural rumors and factors and what was going on um, back then. So the local culture and the rumors really shaped how the folks see the Bell Witch story. The neighbors, for example. The hauntings happened when superstition and belief in the supernatural ran deep. They were very religious, they believed in that. The communities share beliefs about witches, especially back then and after the history that we had with the Salem's witch, and probably made everything feel bigger and scarier. And news got around, and the stories just kept growing and morphing. This made the haunting even more sensational and pulled in more curious people. Local legends tend to blur fact and fiction and reflects on the fears and values of that era. But who is Kate Batts and why does she stand out at the Bell Witch legend? So the local superstitions played a big part in shaping the story and how it hit the community. But while it was clearly influencing, this haunted, it's debatable. Kate Batts was a local woman with a strong personality. Plenty of people thought she practiced witchcraft. After her disputes with the Bell family, folks started connecting her to the haunting. Some even said Kate cursed the Bells after a land deal soured. Rumors about Kate spread fast, stirring up fear and superstition. People whispered about her supposed powers, which gave the Bell Witch tale more fuel. The folklore around her merged with the haunting, building a story that stuck with the community for generations. Going deeper into Kate Batts' possible connection, actually. So, Kate Batts was called Mary Kate Catherine Batts, and everyone called her Kate Batts. And he was a neighbor from the Bell family, and she lived in the Red River settlement. Some say that she was a tough, eccentric woman with a strange behavior, and she had a particular thing for begging for pins for other women, from the hats back then. But while they actually believe that Kate was the Bell's witch, and I'm going to explain why she couldn't be, the dispute in here it was because Kate Batts had a dispute with Benjamin Batts, her brother-in-law, and John Bell over a slave sale. Now, here's where I step in on this identity controversy. So, the Bell's witch identity insisted that Kate Batts was the spirit tormenting the Bell family, but she couldn't be. Kate Batts actually survived John Bell. Remember, he died in 1820, and she just died 22 years after him. She was alive back then. So she couldn't be the witch tormenting or the spirit tormenting the family. She was alive. Cursed? Maybe. But she couldn't be a spirit. She was alive. And actually, if you go to this county, you can see Kate Batts' final rest. It's there. Everyone from the Bells family is still there. You can visit them. But others argued that the Bell Witch might be something or someone completely entirely different. And many of the legends back then claimed that there were spirits reflected in the area because of the tribal history with the Native American Indians. And this led to endless versions and debates. As a side note, this actually remembers me about Bathsheba and the Conjuring House. The poor lady was just there and she had a life, and she's not the Conjuring Witch. So they grab a woman's name and just toss it out like a witch. The Bell Witch story really left its mark on the American legends. Its themes of haunting, family struggle, and the supernatural popped up in all sorts of tradition. People like that. The tale shows how local stories can shape culture and add layers to the ghost lore. The Bell Witch haunting is a cornerstone in the Southern ghost stories. This story adds the unique flavor of the Southern mythology, where ghosts often stand in for old grudges, and family secrets. Local legends like this one just get passed down through storytelling, just like us. They offer warnings, lessons, and a sense of belonging. Plenty of the southern ghost stories borrow bits from the Bell Witch, so its influence just keeps going. And as normally we talk about movies and books and art, the Bell Witch inspired all sorts of books and media and movies. And authors often woven its creepy events into novels or short stories. Movies and documentaries have tried to capture the haunting's strange energies. Novels like The Bell Witch by Angie Leach dig into the themes of fear, loss, and the unknown. TV shows and podcasts, hello, love to reference the Bell Witch too, keeping the legend fresh for new fans. This ongoing fascination shows how much this haunting has just become a staple of the American storytelling. The Bell Witch Cave is a part of the legend and draws plenty of visitors. It's a cave and it brings a lot of tourists, especially nowadays. And the cave gives people a closed up look at the haunted history and attracts curious thousands of tourists every year. If you want to visit it, you can find the Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee. It's not far from where the Bell's family lived. And it was actually John Bell's son, Richard, that discovered in the early 1800s after spotting a strange opening in the ground. And the cave got famous because it's linked to the Bell's family haunting experience, of course. Some say that the house they lived, the experiences in the house were a type, and when they went to the cave, it was amplified. And some visitors say that it feels uneasy on certain spots inside of the cave. It has a lot of rock formations, and because of the history and the legend, it adds to the spooky vibe. If you know what I know, rock formations, underground, a cave can bring a lot of energy and not in a spooky vibe, or is it? So these days, the Bell Witch Cave brings the tourists, as I said, and they want to dig up on the mysterious past, and they have guided tours all year around, and they even let people explore and do their own explorations with, EVPs and all the material. But nothing is like Halloween, my favorite time of the year, with Christmas, of course. Halloween is a big deal here at the Witch Cave. If you want to search about it, just make sure that you book Halloween and go into either the guided tour or just with a group of friends, just for fun. The ghost hunts and the storytelling sessions are amazing. I have heard a couple of them, and it's a dream basically. And nearby you have the museums and the gift shops, and nowadays you can find a lot of things near the cave. Of course, we're in the 21st century, but the legend of the Bell Witch still stays, and you even have merch, which is kind of cool. Or not. If you were a Bell and you're listening to this, it's not cool. It's not cool. So, what about the modern investigations and the paranormal and the skeptical perspectives, if we can say about this? They There are a lot of investigations around the Bell Witch, and they sparked a lot of interests, and we are always talking about the Bell Witch. So I am actually adding my fuel to this. And we have the paranormal research from one side, and we have the historians from the other. And they try both go to the bottom of things. And about the findings that they had, it's all over the place. So it depends on who you want to believe and what you want to believe, and what are you actually listening without believing in the mass hysteria thing. For example, the paranormal research findings that we can have, they use the modern tech. You have the EVPs recorders, the spirit boxes, hoping to catch something natural. And other groups, they claim that they recorded weird noises and voices that match the old accounts of the hauntings. But what about the historians and skeptics? Well, historians don't seem to agree on the Bell Witch story, because I've just pointed out before that Kate Bell was actually alive. So she couldn't be the spirit. But regarding the old diaries and letters, they claim that something happens. But are those letters and journals enough? And skeptics pushing back, arguing that those documents might just be an echo, rumor, or tall tales, and it's easy for myth to sneak in over time. Plenty of folks think that the haunting started with the family problems, stress, mental health, health itself, and money problems. Skeptics kept asking for actual proof, but this was a long time ago. Where can we find proof? I don't know. Maybe you can go to the Bell Witch's Cave and send me the comments from there. Tell me, what do you think about this? Are you team believer or are you team skeptic? Paraphrasing here, Danny Robbins, of course. And guys, this was today's episode. I hope you liked it. It was definitely spooky research. I might be on the team historian skeptical, but you never know. And I have seen many videos about Bell Witch, so some of them are very good, some of them you can clearly see what's going on. So I had to go deeper into the story about Kate Bat, for example. But I would like to know about you. Did you like this episode? Would you like to hear more spooky stories? Would you like to have more spooky stories around the fireplace again? Comment below and share your thoughts. And it's always nice to hear from you guys. And I promise that I have episodes ready for you here weekly at the Storytelling Podcast. I'm going to create finally just an Instagram just for the Storytelling Podcast. And thank you for listening. And please remember that if you would like to send your stories or a special topic to be shared in the next episode, please send it to the Storytelling Podcast 8080 at gmail.com or follow me on social media at Alejandra Fonseca Official or at AleLife Official. Soon, the Storytelling Podcast Official. Before you go, if you haven't done already, I would love you to click the follow or the subscribe button. And if you want to become a supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode, and your support will be well implemented. And I will give you a shout out on the next episode. See you in the next week in the next episode.